You know what it is? Last month I decided to start a series where talk about just songs that have been added in my rotation. But this month in particular, it's been a fucking crazy ass month. I guess I might as well just start getting into all the new releases that came out this month. So I want to start out with J. Cole's new project, Might Delete Later, which is very ironic. And the song I was going to talk about was 7 Minute Drill.
Man, that's the lamest shit I ever did in my fucking life, right?
My favorite song from the album is actually H.Y.B, Hide Your Bitch. Main reason why I just like this song is for its very, I guess, summer kind of vibes that it has. It's like I never heard J. Cole have like a summer vibe kind of song. I think Bass does a great job on the hook. I think the hook is actually one of the best parts, but I think my favorite part to me is actually Central C. I'm not really a fan of like UK rappers. Like UK rap, no disrespect to UK rappers, but like I don't know, they just don't do it for me. I don't know what it is about his verse. That shit kind of hits, I'm not gonna lie. To me, the album was just more of what we got with the off season, which my whole thoughts on the off season, my biggest problem with the off season is that it just felt like it was build up towards the Fall Off, which is supposed to be his next album, or at least I think it's gonna be his next album. And man's been teasing that fucking album since 2018. Which, speaking of 7 Minute Drill, I do want to actually, since that was a diss towards Kendrick Lamar, I actually did go back though this month to listen to Like That again. And the main reason why I went back to it is just because this is, if I'm not mistaken, probably the biggest rap song to come out this whole year in terms of just streaming numbers, which I don't think streaming numbers mean jack shit. I was wondering to myself, because I've even heard this argument like online that like, oh, the only reason why it's number one is because of Kendrick Lamar. Kendrick Lamar, I think, has a great verse on that song as it is, and I think definitely if he wasn't on the album, it wouldn't be as talked about as it is. However, that isn't to discredit the song, because I think the song itself is still really great. You have some amazing samples in Like That. On top of that, Future's first verse, I think, is actually pretty fucking great. Jane got your girl and this bitch twirling on the dick. It's ironic. My favorite part on Like That ain't even Future's verse. It's not even Kendrick's verse. I don't know what it is, but my favorite part on Like That is right after Kendrick's verse. There's like a solo that Metro Boomin does. There's obviously been a bunch of solos in like other songs too, but like I can't even think of a rap song where the producer had an entire solo. To me, that is the hardest fucking shit on earth. You can't tell me this shit not hard when he does this whole solo, bro. But yeah, I guess staying on the topic of Future and Metro Boomin, they did release their second project, We Still Don't Trust You. With We Still Don't Trust You, it was not really what I wanted it to be, I'll say. I know a lot of people do like Future when he gets into more of his melodic R&B bag, which this definitely was that. But that's not to say that I don't think it was bad. To me, this was just more of like a better version of Hendrix, at least in my book, because I actually don't really care for Hendrix all that much as an album. I do think it has some really big highs. The only thing is that I think the highs on We Still Don't Trust You do not outweigh those highs on Hendrix. I don't believe there's a single fucking song on We Still Don't Trust You that competes with My Collection, Solo, or Sorry. Out of those songs from Hendrix, they are far better. They're far better than anything on We Still Don't Trust You. And I will say that the album has kind of grown on me over time as I actually started to really appreciate Future's vocals on here. Like when he does sing, he actually does a pretty good job. I mean, he's no fucking He's no Frank Ocean. He's no Adele. He's no Frank Sinatra. I think it's really well done on songs like We Still Don't Trust You, Drink and Dance, Red Leather, Nights Like This. Oh my gosh. And I think the features themselves, they do a pretty decent job, even though like three of the features on We Still Don't Trust You are just The Weeknd, which actually that brings me to the song, to probably my favorite song on the album, which is Always Be My Fault. For one, I'll say that is my favorite performance by The Weeknd on this whole album. But I think Always Be My Fault, I think, is probably like the rawest kind of like emotion that you get from Future. But also my biggest problem when it comes to this project was the fact that you had an A-side and a B-side. I guess according to Metro, it's like the B-side is more of a mixtape, but like why wouldn't you just have that be a separate release? The main reason why the A-side and B-side are a problem for me is because it doesn't feel like there's any correlation between the two. Honestly, he could have just saved it for a third We Don't Trust You. And I think another problem that I kind of have with this project, I won't say is necessarily the fault of Metro or Future, although it may be Metro's fault, but I think it's more so the fault of the internet, is how they kind of have painted this picture around about this whole album kind of just being more like Drake disses, which to me devalues the experience of the actual album. To me, I feel like this album felt more directed towards Drake for disses than the first one. With We Don't Trust You, to me, that album didn't feel like it was just about, oh, fuck Drake, because the only thing that really painted that picture for most people is Kendrick's verse on Like That. And I think it's just more the fault of the moment rather than the actual artist. But anyways, going back to at least the B-side of We Still Don't Trust You, my favorite song from the entire project, if we're going to include both A-side and B-side, is actually going to be Crazy Clientele. It feels so what's the word I want to look for? I don't want to say wrong or I want to say dirty, but like I don't feel like that's the right word. Kind of reminds me of the song Garbage by Tyler the Creator, which was a GTA 5 exclusive, which kind of has like that same kind of vibe to it, except instead of Tyler talking about drugs, he was talking about murdering people. But yeah, I did say on my last video that depending on this album would depend on my placement for We Don't Trust You, which upon listening to it even more, and I guess you could say it's recency bias, but I feel like We Don't Trust You might just be my favorite Future project. I'm just gonna go out on a limb and just say that it is. I think the moments that album creates is absolutely great. You could say it's just recency bias. That's perfectly fine. That still doesn't take away my love for DS2 or, other albums from Future. I think probably my top 3, though, Future projects. I'm not going to lie, I probably got to go with The Wizard. I don't know what it is about The Wizard. That album goes fucking crazy. And then I got to go with DS2. And then We Don't Trust You. Literally, like the very next day after We Still Don't Trust You comes out, Drake comes out with his song Push Ups. I woke up and I go on Twitter and I hear that a Drake response leaks on the internet. I listened to it at first and I'm like, I'm not feeling it. A couple hours later, then another version leaked, which was the more mastered version, and it had an updated beat, which is the version that we have now. And then I listened to that version because I'm like, fuck it, why not? And I'm like that meme of Danny DeVito where he's like, oh my gosh, I get it. But I think as a response to everybody that has been dissing him, I won't say that this is the best diss track that we have gotten, but I will say that this was a great response. I do want to say Drake did do a great job of this song in particular of trying to fit everybody in and at least, calling them out at least by at least one line. And the thing that I like most is that he didn't make this song too long and didn't waste a lot of time with other people. He could have easily talked about A$AP Rocky and Rihanna for fucking 5 hours, but he doesn't lean that way because the entire time you can kind of feel like the attention is more towards Kendrick. Like he wants the whole diss itself felt more of a response to Kendrick rather than dissing everybody else, but he just so happens to diss everybody else within the song. And I will say there are a couple lines in here that I don't really like the whole part when he talks about how Kendrick's not in the big three, but SZA is better and Travis is better and 21 Savage is better. If you want to talk about numbers, sure, you could make that argument about SZA and Travis Scott, but I don't know. Yeah, I think even 21 Savage is kind of a stretch. As I do love 21 Savage though. Also, before I continue, I did forget to bring up this point when I originally recorded it, which I want to go a little bit more into the whole Drake line where he's saying that it's a 20v1. So in that kind of situation that Drake is in, it can be fairly easy to put the blame on everybody else and feel bad for Drake. But that's not really the case. The main reason why you would also have some people like me who wouldn't be supporting Drake in this whole situation is because, quite simply, he did ask for it. I mean, if we just go back to some of Drake's previous bodies of work that he's released within the past, I don't know, maybe 2, maybe even 3 years. Outside of Honestly Nevermind, albums like Her Loss and For All the Dogs, when it comes to those 2 albums, to me, there's not a whole lot that anyone really talks about outside of the fact that Drake dissed this person, Drake dissed that person, which I don't really have a problem when there's a diss in a track, but it's how excessive and how pointless a lot of these disses feel. And I just find it very ironic how you are one of the biggest artists in the world, and yet the only thing you can really rap about outside of the strange subject matter of the women that you're with. But the way these disses come across, sometimes they're not that direct. Most of the time, they're not that direct. And when you do get something that does feel more direct, it comes across kind of awkward or very questionable, depending on exactly who he's dissing or even if he has a problem with these people. Sometimes it may even come across like it's just there for shock value and therefore, hey, I'm Drake, I want some attention. I think probably one of the most awkward disses that I think I've ever seen Drake do is on the song On Bullshit. Granted, I will say that is my favorite song off Her Loss, but it's not for the diss. As a matter of fact, the diss is actually my least favorite part about that song. And it's at the point when he disses X at the beginning of the second verse. Which I know they had beef in the past, which to me that's something you should be handling more in the present. And obviously he's going for a he can't fuck with me, scared of the 6 type shit. I don't think X is scared of the 6, Drake. I think he's fucking dead. So to me, dissing an artist after they passed away doesn't make you look very tough. It actually makes you look more like an asshole. And it also makes you look like, oh, well, since he's gone, I know he's not going to say anything. So I win. He can't say anything because he passed away. Keep in mind, I haven't even gotten to the second diss that Drake dropped this month. It's not even a shock now that Drake doesn't even respect the dead. But even when you thought that it would end there, no, literally like 5 hours after that track leaked, Rick Ross comes out with his new track, Champagne Moments. I'm not going to go too much into this one. I will say that I do like Champagne Moments. I do like the beat in particular. A lot of the luxury talk from Rick Ross, I really like that. The only like big part about this song is really the ending when he talks about how Drake got a or Drake never wanted to be black, so that's why he got a nose surgery operation. Drake's response to that shit was so fucking stupid. Man did a fake text message with his mother. Like, I'm sorry, this whole text message just looks fake, bro. Which I get what Rick Ross is doing. I get what he's doing. He's trying to tackle Drake's insecurities. Which, I mean, he even brought up how Drake doesn't have a six-pack anymore because he got surgery or whatever. I feel like if you're Drake and you're going to respond to either one of those two things that were called out in a diss track about you, I feel like that's probably the easiest one you could rebuttal, but he hasn't rebutted that one at all. Like, all he has to do is just take a picture with his shirt off, relax, no diddy. And I guess wrapping up the whole Drake versus the world kind of topic for this video, I won't say this is a song that I'm going to recommend, but it is a song I'm going to talk about very briefly, is actually going to be the Tailor Made freestyle, where basically Drake is just trying to get Kendrick to respond. That is the entire diss. I feel like this track probably took more of the internet by storm than the other one. It could just be the fact that it's more recent. The main reason why I hate this track is kind of the main reason why it became so controversial is because of the use of AI. The first verse is Drake rapping, but he's having AI Tupac do it. And then the second one is Drake rapping, but having AI Snoop Dogg do it. And then the third one is just Drake. I don't support movies when they do the whole dead actor CGI. I fucking hated it when it comes to Rogue One, and I hated it when it came to Ghostbusters Afterlife in particular. But like, this is just like that. Like, when I listen to Tailor Made Freestyle and I hear Pac rapping in the same flow and what sounds like a Drake written verse, the only thing I can imagine when I'm listening to that verse is Drake having his hand in Tupac's back and like playing with his dead body like he's a puppet. I know it's not a pleasant image. It's just very ironic how when the whole AI thing was coming up, this man Drake was so like against it, to when he even posted on his Instagram, "This is the last straw AI," and it was a post of, I think, Drake singing "Munch" by Ice Spice, and then he puts out this shit. And I get what he's trying to do with the AI, trying to make it like trying to play mind games essentially with Kendrick Lamar. And I mean, if you look at what Tupac and what Snoop Dogg mean to Kendrick Lamar as an artist, yeah, then I guess, yeah, you did a good job at that, but then you just kind of disrespected someone else's legacy on top of that. Last song I kind of want to talk about when it comes to new music is the song Back to Back by Nardo, Wick featuring Future. I'm gonna keep this one short. Honestly, is it pretty much just any Nardo Wick song? It's pretty much just a typical Nardo Wick song. I think Future does kind of carry this song a little bit, but I still like Nardo Wick on here. And I know some people are probably gonna say that they could probably do without the first portion of the track, since it's like it's that first portion and then it does the beat switch into when Future starts rapping. I'm not gonna lie, that's kind of what I like about the song. I like the fact that it starts out like that and then you have a beat switch almost out of nowhere and it just sounds even better. I did start to get into Brent Faiyaz recently. where I haven't heard a whole lot of Brent Faiyaz like songs, but I did listen to his first album Saunderson, and I did listen to his 2020 album Fuck the World, which I know that album is supposed to be like probably his most popular, but in my opinion I kind of liked Saunderson more. And the song that I kind of can't get over is the song Needed. I think the hook is what kind of drives me into that track. And I really like the use of the guitar when it comes to that song as well. And of course, Brent Faiyaz's vocals is great all the way throughout. This month, I did also re-listen to Kanye West's Late Registration. And I forgot how great so many of those songs were. The main song in particular that I can't get over is the song Addiction. The guitar is, I think, the standout of this track. When I don't know what it is about the chords that are used in Addiction, but something about the guitar makes it kind of feel like, it's gonna sound really corny, but something about the guitar makes it feel like almost like it is an addiction. But on the song, even Kanye talks about how like some shit is wrong, but he knows like how it makes someone feel. That's kind of how I feel about the song. Like the song feels wrong when I'm listening to it with the guitar, but something about that guitar catches my ear and just makes me love that song, you know? On top of that too, I've never seen the show Narcos, but it makes me think of Narcos for some reason. And I know I said I was done with new releases, which I am done with new releases for the month. But this month in particular was pretty special since the rollout for Childish Gambino's new album just started. He's been posting kind of like radio podcast like stuff on his website Gilga. But in the first one, he had a big announcement where he had announced that his last album 3/15/20 was actually unfinished, and he just released it early since he had a lot going on throughout that time period, and two, COVID kind of started, and no one knew if we were gonna survive, which I was like, yeah, I can't blame you there. But essentially a more finished version of 3/15/20 is going to be released in the name Ada Vista, which I'm actually more excited now since I know Human Sacrifice is going to be added to the track list, which I know is supposedly a big song. I've tried to stay away as much as I can from that song. As much as I want to listen to it, I'm trying to stay away just so I can hear like an official release. But he had also announced that his next album is going to be more of a soundtrack for a movie that he's working on called, I think it's called Bando Stone in the New World, which I've heard a couple snippets of what some songs are supposed to sound like. I know one with Kanye, which I'm super fucking excited about, one with Kid Cudi, but that album will serve as the final Childish Gambino album, which for those of you, which I have because the internet right there. I mean, if you know me, you know how much Childish Gambino's music means to me. You know how much, because the internet has shaped my life. I am interested in hearing the more finished version of 3/15/20. And the one song that I really hope does not change from 3/15/20 to Ada Vista is actually going to be the song 1238, which, hold on, now I gotta look up what the fucking name of the track is. I don't even know how to fucking pronounce that shit. I'm gonna go with the parentheses one, Millennial Love. But yeah, 1238 Millennial Love. That song in particular, I really fucking hope you don't touch that song. It's insane to me how that song is 6.5 minutes long. That's a long ass time for a fucking song. But yet that song, it just flies by. And I think the most shocking thing about this song to me, I'm someone now, you can call me a fucking like, you can call me a kiss ass or whatever, but I've always either thought that the person he's working with has either been on par with Childish Gambino, or Childish Gambino's just kind of been better than that artist. This is the first fucking song of his that I actually think someone else did a better job than Childish Gambino. To me, 21 Savage fucking kills this song. I don't know what it is about his verse, but it fucking hits. I remember when 21 Savage came out with Monster, and I was shocked to hear that Childish Gambino was on that song. Childish Gambino was the biggest standout of that song. I don't know what it is about 21 Savage's performance, but that man goes fucking hard on his verse, dude.
All my shooters came from Moscow. Got a girl in Harvard, I'll tell proper when I caught her. Baby, I'm a baller, ain't no way that I can raw you.
Maybe I was wrong. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe Drake was right all along. Maybe in the big three conversation we should have SZA, Travis Scott, 21 Savage, because after that verse, man, like, I don't blame Drake for thinking that. But on that note, if you guys have any recommendations that you may have for me, I'm all ears. You know, you could either put it down in the comments or just, I don't know, fucking hit me up on Twitter. Sorry, not sorry to all the Swifties that you know, I didn't talk about a Taylor Swift song. Like, I didn't want to talk about how she wanted to be touched while her man's bros is playing GTA 5.
Brand new, full throttle. Touch me while your bros play